Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. There's a point on this journey where something starts to feel unfamiliar in a way that's hard to name. You're responding differently to people. Situations that used to trigger you don't land the same way. You notice yourself pausing more, listening longer, feeling things you might have brushed past before. And somewhere in all of that, a quiet concern shows up. Am I getting softer? And if I am, is that going to make things harder for me? It's an honest question, especially in a world that tends to reward sharpness, speed, and emotional distance. We're not really taught what to do with softness once we grow up. We're taught how to survive, how to endure, how to keep moving, but not how to stay open. Most of us learned early what strength was supposed to look like. It meant holding it together, not letting things show, not letting people see where you might be affected. Strength was composure, strength was control, and strength was being able to take a hit and keep going. And to be fair, that kind of strength got many of us through years we didn't have the tools for. It helped us function, it helped us adapt. It helped us keep showing up when life felt heavy or unpredictable. But there's a difference between surviving and living. And eventually, that old definition of strength starts to feel tight, like you're constantly bracing for impact even when nothing is actually happening. That's often when love starts doing its quiet work. Softness doesn't arrive all at once. It shows up in small ways. You realize you're not reacting as quickly. You don't feel the same urge to defend yourself in every conversation, and you notice that you can sit with discomfort a little longer without needing it to escape or fix it. At first, that can feel risky. There's a vulnerability in not being armored all the time. A sense that you're closer to the surface of things, closer to other people, and closer to yourself. You feel more, you notice more, and that can be unsettling if you've spent years learning how not to. But softness isn't the absence of strength. It's strength that no longer needs to stay tense. What starts to become clear is that softness isn't about letting everything in. It's about choosing what you respond to instead of reacting to everything automatically. It's the difference between being unguarded and being present. You still have boundaries. In fact, they often become clearer. You're less likely to lash out, but more likely to step back when something isn't healthy. You don't need anger to hold your line anymore. You don't need volume to feel solid. You just know where you stand. That kind of readiness doesn't come from force. It comes from self-trust. There's also something else that happens as softness settles in. You start realizing how much energy you used to spend holding yourself together. How much effort went into staying braced, staying ready, staying protected. When that tension eases even a little, there's space. Space to think, space to feel, and space to notice what's actually happening instead of what you're afraid might happen. You become harder to provoke, not because you care less, but because you're not living on edge anymore. Other people's reactions don't hook into you the same way. You're less pulled into cycles of escalation. And that's not weakness. That's regulation. That's maturity. Softness also changes how you relate to pain, both yours and other people's. You don't rush past it as quickly. You don't try to explain it away, and you don't turn it into something abstract. You just let it be what it is. Pain. And strangely, that makes it more bearable. Pain that's acknowledged moves. Pain that's resisted tends to stay. This is one of the quiet strengths of softness. It allows things to pass through you instead of getting stuck. It's important to say this clearly. Becoming softer doesn't mean becoming smaller. It doesn't mean accepting harm. It doesn't mean losing your voice or your values. If anything, it brings you closer to them. When you're not constantly defending yourself, you're more honest. When you're not hardened, you're more discerning. And when love leads, you don't abandon yourself. You show up more fully. Softness doesn't erase strength. It refines it. You may notice that people respond differently to you as this shift happens. Not always consciously, but there's a steadiness they can feel, a lack of sharp edges, a sense that you're actually present with them instead of waiting for your turn to react. That presence changes conversations. It slows things down. It makes room for something more human to emerge. And that's not because you're trying to be anything in particular. It's because you're no longer trying so hard to protect yourself from every possible outcome. If you're finding yourself becoming softer, it doesn't mean you're losing your edge. It means you're no longer living in constant defense mode. You're choosing awareness over armor. That's not an easy shift, but it's an honest one. And it takes more strength than the old way ever did. I love you all very, very, very much. And you know what I need you to do. Go out and pass that on. Later, Gators. Bye-bye.
Every story, every voice.